All right. I've been sitting here for like an hour thinking about what I'm going to say when I record this. And I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to play the game like we always do it. Boys, this is kind of a rough video for me to make. And you know, it's only right that I play Dark Souls while I talk about some deep shit, I guess. But I was originally gonna record something first, but then I started thinking to myself, you know, maybe save an idea like that for later, because like the whole thing with that was I was just gonna just talk about nothing, just feelings, because like, you know, depression. But that I don't think that I promised that I would make a video talking about this, and if you don't know by the title of the video, we're gonna be talking about my disability. We're gonna be talking about how that shit affects my life, because I think it's very important. It's pretty difficult, really. Like, you know, living in an environment where like the moment that I talk about it with anyone in my family, it's always like upsetting. Like no one wants to hear the shit that I've been through, man. Or I guess more or less hear how I felt about it. Like, guys, I really like this is weird. This is so weird. Like all of these videos, they're all unscripted, so I'd rather it be from the heart. Say with your chest. I'm not even really playing the game right now because I'm just trying to think of shit to say. Let's start with the first thing. If you guys don't know what even cerebral palsy is, I'm about to pull up a dictionary definition on your ass. This is according to the Google top page definition of my own condition. Cerebral palsy is a congenital disorder of movement, muscle tone, or posture. Cerebral palsy is due to abnormal brain development, often before birth. Symptoms include exaggerated reflexes, floppy or rigid limbs, I can't read, and involuntary motions. These appear by early childhood. Long-term treatment includes physical and other therapies, drugs, and sometimes surgery. I went through all that shit. I've been through all the physical therapy. I still take medication, and I have had surgery at least twice in my life. If you don't really get what any of that fucking shit I just said means, I'm gonna put it in your terms for you. My brain was not developed correctly in the womb, so because of that, basically all my motor functions suck balls compared to a normal human being. Honestly, it's a miracle I can play video games. If my condition was the worst, I probably would not be able to without significant, or at least some form of like help, you know. And that's why like the fucking when Microsoft came out with those adaptive controllers, even though I don't need those things, and I used to hate seeing shit like that, or have an outright refusal to even get help from anyone unless it was my parents. But I look at that stuff now and I think about all those, like all the kids like me, because I never grew up really knowing anyone else with my condition or being friends with anyone who had any similar conditions or anything like that. I don't have anyone to relate to really. But it was almost to a point where I wouldn't want to relate to people when it came to all the physical shit, because it was too painful for me to think about. My earliest memories of childhood, as far back as I can think of, are me prepping for surgery at 4 years old. I didn't even know what I was there for or why I was there or anything like that. I just remember being in a bed and people giving me gifts for like no fucking reason. Bro, I got a VCR, a tape of like Toy Story 2. I watched that on the hospital bed, like on that TV they have in front of the bed, like hanging on the ceiling. I watched that shit with my dad. That's the first time I watched that movie. And it's crazy because every time I think of that movie, I think of positive shit. I don't think of negative stuff. Because I'm willing to bet if I knew what was going on, I probably wouldn't have been so positive about it. But that's for real, like some of my earliest memories. That's when I first played Spyro. I feel like I told that story so many times. First time I played Spyro was on a big ass fucking TV in the middle of a rec room in a hospital. A room filled with kids and their parents just playing with toys and watching a movie and playing video games and shit. Those little experiences I had from my earliest memories, like all the video games that I played, all the movies I watched, cartoons, everything. That was like a distraction from all the other shit. When I came home from that surgery, I remember my parents had to strap me to the bed every night so I could keep my legs out. My legs have this thing because of the cerebral palsy where they constantly try and curl in. Specifically, the hamstrings or get tight because of the way that I relax myself while sleeping. Or another thing is, which I'm pretty sure I fucked myself up now for not, taking care of myself as much as I did when I was a kid. My left leg leans to the left. If I'm sitting down on the ground, you know how people be sitting down with their legs crossed like pretzel? I wouldn't be able to do that much. My leg wants to go the opposite direction, which is really bad for my groin and my hip. So my dad would literally like force me to sit to sit the other way. And eventually I just stopped doing that. So I can't sit with my legs crossed like that anymore. I'd have to work at it, bro. Like I'd have to basically go through physical therapy for that shit all over again. Which I have gone to physical therapy more than once, I think. I can't really remember very well. I'm 100% rambling so far. And I do apologize. I'm just kind of speaking off of the shit in my head. I've never done this before either. I've never so openly tried to talk about this shit. It's weird that I'm doing this for a YouTube video because I'm probably gonna fucking cry at some point. I can feel it already. This is gonna be awkward. I'm gonna cut what I just said off by talking to this guy. Greetings.
I am Oswald of Kareem, the park.
Can you pardon me for my disability? That was a bad joke. That was really stupid. Alright, let's start this shit off with me just talking. Let me explain to you guys how this shit affects me personally. Because no two people with CP are the same. But the way that this shit affects me is that my left leg, half the muscles from the knee below, like starting from like past the knee and below, they don't work. It's completely atrophied. They're gone. I can never use those muscles ever. Because of that, I can barely move my left ankle at all or apply any pressure with my foot, I guess. I have like poor balance because of this shit. Also, my left leg is, I think, 1 or 1.5 inches shorter than my right leg. So when I stand up straight, I sometimes either stand up with my right leg completely straight and behind, like where my right foot is behind the left foot and the left foot is forward, which is not very comfortable because I can't put more of my body weight on my left foot or I will lose my balance. That's why that's not comfortable. Most of the time, you'll see me standing with my right foot forward, knee bent, so that my other foot can touch the ground. I used to also have this problem where I would stand with both of my feet close together, like really close together. So I'd have poor balance from that. That's just how I learned how to stand. That's where most of the CP affects me, is that left leg. But my right leg is quote unquote fully functional, and so are my hands. But I have problems with muscle spasms and muscle tightness. Like, the muscles can get too tight sometimes and that causes pain. Other times I just get random pain where I'll just wake up and everything hurts and I can't stand up, or all my muscles in my whole, like both of my legs, just feel weak. But I don't get that type of shit in my arms. I only get spasms in my hands. My motor skills suck. You know, in preschool, they had to teach me how to hold things like a fork and a pencil. You know, just random things. I really couldn't even play with toys or like Legos or anything until I went through that. They had to teach me how to grab things. That's probably the first like kind of physical therapy I went through. But I didn't know it was that. They were pretty good about that shit. I mean, they should be, because that's what they're supposed to do. But basically, my point is, I have a lot of problems with walking. I have a lot of problems with grabbing things, holding things, keeping things held. My hands shake constantly. The funny thing about that, though, is that when I get like real happy or like excited about something, or I'm startled, like I get scared, something like that, I lose all ability to control my limbs. So I guess somewhere deep down, I have to like subconsciously keep control over my limbs, like my fingers, my hands, my legs, my toes even. I never even used to be able to curl my toes on my left foot. I remember I think I was like 13 when I figured that out, that I could do that for the first time. For some reason, I just like, I would constantly try and move my ankle, my toes, everything, just because I wanted to move them. I remember one day I concentrated real hard, my toes started moving. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I ran to my dad and I was like, Dad, look, I can move my toes. It's pretty stupid thinking that because I could do that now, that meant I was getting better. No, I wouldn't be like this forever. I honestly, at this point, I don't even know if I'm gonna release this video, because this is hard, man. This is really hard to talk about. And this is without even mentioning like the things that people would ridicule me for when I went through school. There's always those types of people who literally only wanted to start problems with random people that they could see themselves being able to fuck with. Basically, I'm saying they saw me as weaker, which is a normal thing for a bully to do. I remember fighting back with people. I think I only got reported for fighting twice, but I definitely fought kids more than once. But you know, it's like that whole thing of being perceived as inferior or in need of help. I remember like I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm walking past this substitute teacher who has taught me before as a substitute teacher, and she sees me walking in the hallway, stops me, like grabs my shoulder and everything to try and like get my attention and like stop me and be like, "Are you okay?" I swear to you guys, it took every ounce of me, every ounce of my energy to not just get so angry at someone for saying something like that. But all right, I got a little distracted. But my point is, my parents treated me growing up as if like I'm equal to everybody else, which is true. I'm very glad they didn't like do what a lot of parents of disabled kids do and just spoil them. Whenever I see that, it pisses me off. And I see a lot of other disabled people on social media acting like spoiled brats, specifically on Twitter. That shit doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't even sit right with me how I think about myself a lot of the time nowadays. Me feeling inferior to other people, even when I know like somewhere deep down that I ain't. I'm built different. But it is like, you know, that part is true. I have to have special accommodations for shit. I've had a fucking one of those like handicap parking slips. I have crutches, I have a wheelchair, you know, those types of things when I need it, and I don't always need that shit. And that's another stigma I don't like, is that you're only handicapped if you constantly need one of those devices or like a cane or something. Now I admit, within the next 10 years, I'm probably gonna have to start walking with a cane. Within the next 20 years, I probably won't be able to walk at all anymore. With the way shit has been going, ever since I started puberty, I started having problems with pain in my legs, and that's what caused me to have to go to the physical therapy again. When I was going through school in a wheelchair, everyone looked at me differently and treated me differently. For better or worse, most of it was positive. Lots more people noticed me in the hallways, were a lot more helpful. with like opening doors and stuff were a lot kinder, but it also made me feel like they were looking down at me. That's one of the reasons why I hate being in a wheelchair. Even when I like in those moments when I needed, like say we're going on a trip to like a theme park, I can't walk around a fucking theme park. But it always felt like whenever I'm in a wheelchair and people people are standing up and they're looking down at me, it feels degrading. And I know that most people aren't thinking about it that way. Most people aren't going to be looking at me and literally looking down at me. But there will be those people, and from my experience, will look at you as less than, which is painful to think about. Which is why most of the time I choose not to use any of the assisting tools that I have, like the wheelchair, the crutches, because I don't like people looking at me differently or treating me differently. But I still recognize that, you know, if I need help, someone is gonna have to help me. I can't really, like, if I can barely walk, I can't do anything about that. It's a painful reality, and it's something that I don't really talk about, to the point where it's like on stream, like I crack jokes about it all the time. But I know there's a lot of people in my audience who don't know that I'm disabled. I do that purposefully. I still don't want to be looked at or treated differently by others based off of their initial perception of me. But I don't like having people having those preconceived notions of me before they've ever met me. One of my biggest fears is that the friends that I've made online, whether it's through Twitch or by other means, and this is not a slight to any of them, I know all you motherfuckers are watching this fucking shit, but because I don't think they would do this, but it is still a big fear of mine that when I see them in person, they'll start treating me differently because they don't see this shit that I see every day and deal with every day. And then when they see it, they're gonna treat me differently. I don't think they will, but I can't help but fear the idea of that because there's a lot of people that do that. What the dog doing? Oh shit. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna. I'm mostly making this video so that people can have an idea of, like, understand how I feel about this shit, and, like, you know, that, or even that it exists in general, and so that maybe somebody else who can understand what I'm going through sees this video. Like, I feel like I've said all that I can for now. If anyone has any genuine questions that they would like to ask, I'm open to answering questions. I like answering questions because I want more people to know. I feel like cerebral palsy is one of those conditions that people don't really talk about much. Everyone's always talking about mental illness, mental health, mental conditions. No one ever talks about physical ailments. That's like the big trendy thing right now on the internet, is to be inclusive for people with, you know, as an example, like autism, ADHD, Tourette's, depression, anxiety, you know, all these other disorders and illnesses and what have you. But I even saw that, and that's one of those fucking things that really fucking pissed me off with the types of people I'd see making tweets on during Disability Pride Month. Fucking Alyssa showed me a goddamn tweet that somebody said, "Hey guys, don't forget that people with physical disabilities exist. Don't forget that." Fuck you. People act like they fucking care, and I know they don't. That's part of why it's so hard for me to socialize with people, because I gotta worry about how people will think, how people will think of me before they even fucking meet me, because of the way that people don't talk about this shit, refuse to talk about it, or don't think about it, or pretend that it doesn't exist. I do want to say that I know that you guys, all the Illuminati out there, you guys care about this shit, because it's me. Y'all care about me, and I thank you for that, and I thank anyone who's listened to this video and gotten this far. Even though I don't talk about it much, having CP, it obviously affects my daily life. It's affected my self-image, my just, you know, ability to do everyday tasks to the point where, you know, even if I can't do something that I see other people being able to do effortlessly, it angers me, man. Even if it has nothing to do with like me having CP, like I just get jealous regardless. Like and that's a pretty bad thing. It's an insecurity issue. But I still beat that bitch's ass, and you can suck my balls. I know that usually with the streams and, you know, some of the other videos on here that we don't really get too serious. Usually joke around a bit more, even when we are talking about a serious topic. I was gonna say I apologize, but I really don't. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for feeling this way. And that's really all I have to say. I think I might have said this earlier, but if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask, you can throw them in the comments. If you have a series of questions, you can email me at the email that I should be putting up on the screen right now, or it's in the description. I check that email probably like once a week. You can email me questions about this shit, or, you know, maybe you want my advice on something, or you just want to hear my opinion on something. Just let me know through that email. Once we start getting enough prompts from people, enough questions, enough ideas from other people, that's when we'll start delving into them. But for now, I don't really have many. Most of them are just people memeing. So, you know, the more we get, the more I'll start doing them and answering them, all that shit. So please, that would help with my content. It'd help bring me closer to you guys as an audience. That's all I really have to say. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say. It means a lot. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.